And a lot of these kids can't be throwaway kids. They're poor kids. They're kids of color. But they shouldn't have to live a life determined by what happens to them by others at a very young age, and by have the Democratic Party of California say it's okay. It's not okay.
Yo, what's goody? I am Wavy. Welcome into the Shadow Realm, because y'all already know how it goes over here on this channel. So if you want to help me out a little bit, it goes a long way for the channel. If you drop a like, drop a subscription, and join in on the conversation with a comment. Interested to know what y'all thinking about this story. I thought that this one would have made a little bit more waves on the internet. I don't know if everyone has heard about it. There's so many things going on right now, but I wanted to bring a little bit of light to this specific story. We had a Democrat senator out of California, Susan Eggman, who gave a pretty moving speech as she was trying to get SB 1414 passed in Congress. It's crazy to me, SB 1414, and we'll get to more of it in detail, but it was looking to reclassify people who do offenses against cupcakes from being a misdemeanor into being a felony. Now, I already thought that this was a felony across the country, but I guess California, home of the weirdos, you know how they get down. This bill started off as a bipartisan bill with 2 Democrats and 1 Republican, but at the end, Senator Grove, the Republican, said that there were so many amendments put into it that she didn't even want to, take ownership anymore, sign it anymore. We'll get to all of that, but let's check out the clip real quick.
I'm done with us protecting people who would buy and abuse our children. I'm done. I don't want to send more black and brown men to prison. I don't want more people in prison, but I don't want people buying girls. I don't want people buying little girls anymore. And I'm tired of saying it's okay and that we have to protect the men who do it. As a mental health professional and as a social worker, I can tell you I've spent my entire career working with people who have been wounded. I'm not going to say beyond repair, but they have been wounded to their core by the abuse that's been heaped on them, oftentimes by those that they love and look to protect them. And if their parents won't do it, then by God, we should. Again, I am not arguing that we open the gates to flood our prisons with people, but I am arguing that we have a moral responsibility to say enough.
First, I appreciate her taking a stand, maybe going against her peers, but when she says that she's done, it means that she's been complicit in some of the stuff that's gone on. Now, from what I understand, Susan Eggman, she's finishing out her final term in November in the election season, but as long as she's been there, what has she allowed? Have they come down tough on these people? Have they come down tough on ex-traffickers and editors, or have they given them the slap on the wrist? Because I've seen enough stories and watched enough To Catch a Editor and all of that with Chris Hansen. I've seen enough of that where most of these men, most of these people on it, which mainly are men, most of them don't get prosecuted. Most of them get to leave and go home that same night. Even when you watch what do they call them, internet vigilantes that do the same kind of sting operations, a lot of them even say that they get frustrated because nothing is done to these people. And it's all around the country. These things happen in various states. You got all over the country. And it's a lot of the same results, and these guys will have evidence. They will have text messages, videos, pictures, calls, all of that. And these people will still get off because, for whatever reason, whether the police don't want to do their jobs to actually protect our children, or if a lot of these politicians or police or whatever are protecting some of their own friends. I don't know, because I don't understand how we live in a place and a time where, our children aren't the most important thing to us. The senator mentioned not wanting to open the floodgates to the prison. I'd say regardless if these people are black, brown, white, yellow, purple, indigenous, tribal, I don't care what they are. If they are involved in this and guilty of it, get them out of here. I don't care if they famous, regular, poor, whatever it is. Anybody that's doing this where you're ex-trafficking kids and stuff like that, I got no type of leniency when it comes to what the law should do with you. Put them up under the prison, because the majority of them don't have any type of remorse for what they do. All right, I'll go ahead and say all of them don't have any remorse. And to the parents that sell their children into this lifestyle, there's a special place in hell for you. And I honestly hope that you experience hell in this life and in the one after this.
Enough. We have given away enough on this area, and we've got to move back into the center, or we all look like fools and laughing stocks. And what do we stand for? I ask all of you to watch the documentary that Senator Grove was in, Senator from Kern County was just in, that talked about this very place in Sacramento where girls are being bought and sold. Men are being given a slap in the hand or a couple days, and then they're back out again, and they do the same thing. They get caught over and over and over again, and somehow that's okay. It's not okay. It is not okay anymore, and no more am I watching. Like I said, I'm leaving, but the rest of you who are going to be here for a while, let's get our stuff together and really start focusing on some of the important things. We talk about learning, and we talk about being safe. This is like at the core of it. And a lot of these kids can be throwaway kids. They're poor kids. They're kids of color. But they shouldn't have to live a life determined by what happens to them by others at a very young age, and by have the Democratic Party of California say it's okay. It's not okay. And I'm not doing it anymore, and I hope none of you do too. We have to be able to draw a line, and for me, I'm drawing a line. I urge your I vote.
I don't get why we weren't always looking out for the best interests of our children. Like I said, I commend her for standing up, but all the time that she was in office, did she not do all that she could to ensure that children were protected in the state of California? So let's get into a little bit about what SB 1414 actually is. California Democrat calls out colleagues in impassioned speech, "I'm done." Eggman is a supporter of California Senate Bill 1414, crime solicitation which was introduced in February by a bipartisan group of 2 Democratic and 1 Republican state senators. It seeks to change soliciting a cupcake for that from a misdemeanor to a felony, with a penalty of 2 to 4 years in prison, a fine of $25,000, and invitation to the registration. According to the bill's Legislative Council's Digest, under current law, those arrested in California for soliciting are charged with disorderly conduct, a misdemeanor for which the penalty is between 2 days and 1 year in prison, and or a fine of not more than $10,000. So to me, based on these kind of charges, it seems like California is very pro editors in that state. All right, because if you could do it and just get disorderly conduct, that's the same like if you were just like having an argument with somebody out in public. That's kind of disorderly conduct. Or, you know, if you're not totally inebriated but acting stupid or get into a fight or something like that, that could be disorderly conduct, a misdemeanor. The bill passed the California Senate on the 23rd of May with 36 votes in favor and none against, and has now been dispatched to the California State Assembly, which will also debate, potentially amend, and vote on the legislation. The edited version would mean it is only illegal to solicit if you know or reasonably suspect them to be, and would leave the crime a misdemeanor for victims aged. What's next? The bill will now go through the same legislative process in the Senate, during which it could be further amended, and then Governor Gavin Newsom has already backed it publicly, so he's already expected to sign it. This is going to be Senator Shannon Grove, like I said, the lone Republican, along with 2 Democrats that worked on this bill, and this is what she had to say about it. The crime of purchasing of any age in the state of California should be a prison felony. I agree with that totally. I don't get why it's even questioned that it's a misdemeanor. I'm incredibly disappointed in the Senate Pro Tem and the Senate leadership for once again passing on an opportunity to restore amendments to the bill and stand up for all of California's children. And I agree with her totally. Shout out to the senator for bringing light to this situation and using her platform to actually speak about a serious problem in America, especially with the whole southern border problem. that we don't know who's coming from where. We don't know. A lot of unaccompanied minors came into this country. Where are they now? Are they with family? Have they been living on the streets? Have they been going here or there? I don't know. We don't know. Okay, we just know that they're here in the country. And also, I remember under President Trump that damn near every month there were raids being done on these rings around the country. Okay, if you know what I'm talking about, then you know. But they were being done, and I remember always hearing about it. Since President Biden's been in office, I have not heard much about any of these rings that were going on. And what the senator was talking about with these pockets in California with X trafficking taking place, and nothing is happening. Even if they get caught and arrested, they'll be back out within a few days, a few hours in some cases. Is this the direction we want? And I mainly feel for the victims and the families, because they're the ones that are going to have to go through these traumas of whatever it is, whether it's, you know, drugs, addiction, you know, so many other things that could happen when you go down that avenue. And I'm sure your mind can run wild. If you're still here, I appreciate you as always. And yeah, I'd just like to know what y'all think about this story. Don't really got too much back and forth, because to me there is no back and forth. This is something that should have been brought to the light a long time ago. If you know that something was going on, hey, you were complicit at the very least. Now that you're on your way out because you're afraid of being looked at like a regular citizen and being judged for stuff like that, I don't know, you know. But shout out to her again, Senator Eggman, for, you know, using her platform to address a serious topic. And that's all I really got to say, man. Y'all stay wavy.